This is Public Safety in Focus. Staff from Homeland Security and Emergency Management and FEMA are joining county emergency managers in assessing severe weather damages to public property and infrastructure. Since June 15th, storms have contributed to widespread flooding, wind, and tornado damage in dozens of Minnesota counties and 3 tribal nations.
The county teams are the ones who know where the damages are, so they take us there. And it's essentially an architectural engineering piece. How is this? Does it function? If it's not, what do we need to do to repair it?
The Joint Preliminary Damage Assessment is the first step in determining if Governor Dayton will be able to make a request for a presidential disaster declaration, which may pave the way for the approval of federal disaster assistance. The BCA is developing a new statewide task force to help address the heroin problem in Minnesota communities. The BCA received a $1.4 million 2-year federal grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to help local agencies disrupt the flow of heroin into Minnesota and investigate opioid overdose deaths and heroin trafficking in Minnesota Indian reservations. The BCA was one of 8 law enforcement agencies in the country to receive grant funding to address the heroin crisis. Motor vehicle theft in Minnesota rose to a 10-year high in 2017, with nearly 10,000 vehicles stolen. That information, along with other crime and arrest data submitted by local law enforcement agencies across Minnesota, is published in the annual Uniform Crime Report. Local agencies submit the data to the BCA, which compiles it into an annual report. The 2017 report is posted on the BCA website. More than 300 law enforcement agencies across Minnesota spent more than 2 weeks utilizing overtime shifts to educate the public on speeding violations. The statewide education and enforcement campaign ran from July 6th until July 22nd to save lives, slow down, and drive Minnesota nice. For the 4th year in a row, Minnesota received a perfect evaluation of its radiological emergency preparedness exercise. This year's 2-day event simulated an incident at the Prairie Island Nuclear Generating Plant, HSEM, along with hundreds of state, county, and federal partners successfully met all standards of the FEMA evaluated exercise. Could your gas stove, water heater, or furnace be putting you at risk? They could be if they're producing dangerous levels of carbon monoxide. Cheryl Burt's young sons died on a cold winter night more than 20 years ago, but carbon monoxide poisoning can happen any time of the year.
I do not ever want anyone ever to have to go through what I have had to go through.
Keep yourself and your family safe. Make sure your CO alarms are working properly by testing them monthly and changing their batteries twice a year. And that's Public Safety in Focus.